Trolls Band Together is not a very good movie. I wish I could say I was impressed by this movie. I really do. But it's just not doing it for me. I loved the first two movies. I thought they were really good. But this new installment could not be more unnecessary. I am just so sick of companies like Dreamworks that continue to make unnecessary sequels that we really just don't need. Trolls is a popular franchise, and it makes a lot of money. So I can understand why Dreamworks wants to make sequels, from a business standpoint. But the truth is, Trolls isn't really that popular with everybody. In fact, there are a lot of YouTube critics out there that completely despise the Trolls movies. Dreamworks needs to take into account that a lot of people don't enjoy the Trolls movies, even if it does make them a lot of money. Of course, most of the reviews online are made by adults, and this is a kids' movie after all, so it doesn't really matter what people in their mid-20s think. So I don't really think Dreamworks should make all their decisions based on YouTube critics alone, but they should at least take them into account. The first two movies were good. I definitely feel that the first one was better though. The second Trolls movie was a good movie as well, but making a sequel wasn't really that necessary, because like I said, Trolls isn't really that popular. Plus, the second movie completely retcons the events of the first movie, and the latest movie completely retcons the events of the second movie. It's like the events of the second movie never even happened. It's not really crucial that the characters acknowledge the second movie, but it doesn't really make sense that they don't. It's almost as if the second movie was just some weird dream or something. They could easily just give the trolls from the second movie cameos at the wedding. It wouldn't take much to include Queen Barb, as well as some of the other trolls from the previous movie in the background. Queen Barb wouldn't even have to say anything. If she just had a small appearance, it would make all the difference. So by doing this, at least they would acknowledge the second movie to some extent. Obviously, they wouldn't be acknowledging the second movie much, but at least it wouldn't feel like a weird dream. The worst thing about this movie would have to be the plot. It is completely void of any originality whatsoever. So basically, the plot of this movie focuses heavily on Branch and his family. So as it turns out, Branch and his brothers formed their own music band when they were just kids. The band was called Brozone. I think you can see where I'm going with this. You may think this movie focuses on Branch and his brothers, but that's where you're wrong. Deep down, this movie is really about Justin Timberlake. I'm not kidding. The whole movie is really just about NSYNC. You may as well just give Justin Timberlake his own animated movie. They already gave one to Adam Sandler, so it's not like there's anything stopping Dreamworks from doing the same thing. If Dreamworks is confident enough to make a movie about Donkey, they may as well make a movie about Justin Timberlake. Honestly, this movie could have been about anything. It didn't have to be about NSYNC. So anyway, one of Branch's brothers has been kidnapped by these two incredibly unlikable villains. Seriously, these are the best villains the movie has to offer? I don't like them at all. They're just bad. Anyway, these two villains are famous music stars, but they don't have any talent of their own. So they decided to kidnap a troll so they can suck the talent out of him. So now it's up to Branch, Poppy, and the rest of Brozone to try and save their brother. The main reason World Tour is the superior movie is that the stakes were much higher. In World Tour, Queen Barb wanted to take over all the troll kingdoms and forced them to play rock and roll forever, thus destroying music and turning all the trolls into punk rockers. In this movie, however, the stakes aren't very high at all. If Branch's brother dies, it doesn't really affect the other trolls whatsoever. Sure, it would definitely affect Branch. I mean, he already lost his grandmother in the first movie, so obviously he would be upset. But it wouldn't really affect the other trolls in the process. That's why I think this story is the weakest in the trilogy. The only reason this movie was even made is so Dreamworks can make a quick buck. And since Ruby Gillman was such a big flop at the box office, you couldn't really blame them. But the thing is, Trolls didn't need to be a trilogy. They could have easily just ended it with World Tour. And they should have. But the truth is, they didn't even need to make World Tour. It was a good movie, but there was no sequel needed, especially since the original wasn't even that popular. So there was not much of a demand for a sequel. Trolls was supposed to be a basic story about the Bergens who believed that the only way to be happy in life is to consume a troll. And in the end, they learned that you don't need to eat a troll to be happy. End of story. You don't need to make a follow-up to a story like that. It simply doesn't need one. I'm giving the movie a 7 out of 10. This movie is not worth watching in theaters unless you're a really big fan of Trolls. If not, you should probably just wait for this to come out to TV. It's not worth seeing on the big screen. That's it for this video. Let me know what you think of Trolls Band Together in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.